the defense wants to ban cameras in the courtroom. How do you feel about that?
There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras in there. Why not be transparent? There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is. Let everyone see and know how it happened. I have no regrets.
So when I saw this moment, I was just thinking about myself and a lot of emotions and grieving that I have experienced. I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. Okay. I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth, no matter what the cost is you tell.
There are some stories that just won't let you sleep at night. This is one of them. The kind of rumor that starts as a whisper, then grows into a storm that nobody can ignore. This week, the conservative world was rocked by a leak so personal, so unexpected, that even the most loyal followers of Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA were left speechless. The source? None other than Candace Owens, who's never been afraid to wade into controversy. But this time, she's not just talking politics, she's talking DNA, and the results are sending shockwaves through every corner of the movement. It all started with a few cryptic posts, a couple of anonymous tips, and suddenly, the internet was buzzing with the question: did Charlie Kirk secretly order DNA tests on his own children? And if so, what did he find? For days, the speculation grew. Some said it was just another wild conspiracy, the kind that pops up whenever a public figure's marriage is under the microscope. Others insisted there was more to the story, pointing to Charlie's recent behavior, his late-night tweets, his tense interviews, and the way he seemed to be pulling away from the spotlight. But then Candace Owens stepped in, and everything changed. On her latest podcast episode, Candace didn't just hint at the rumors, she confirmed them. "I have seen the documents," she said, her voice steady but her eyes betraying a hint of disbelief. "Charlie Kirk did, in fact, order secret DNA tests on his kids. And the results? Well, let's just say they raise more questions than answers." The internet exploded. Within minutes, #CharlieKirkDNA was trending, and every group chat from DC to Dallas was dissecting Candace's every word. What makes this story so explosive isn't just the subject matter, it's the people involved. Charlie Kirk has built his brand on family values, faith, and the image of a devoted husband and father. Erica Kirk, his wife, has been by his side through every public battle, every controversy, every tearful speech. Their marriage has been held up as a model for young conservatives everywhere. So the idea that Charlie would secretly question the paternity of his own children? It's almost unthinkable. But as Candace laid out the timeline, the pieces started to fit. According to her sources, the trouble began months ago when Charlie started noticing inconsistencies in Erica's stories about her past. Friends say he became withdrawn, spending more time at the office and less time at home. He started asking questions about old relationships, about timelines, about things that didn't quite add up. And then, quietly, he ordered the tests. The results, Candace claims, were not what Charlie expected. While she stopped short of revealing the exact findings, she made it clear that the results shook him to his core. In her words, "Charlie Kirk is a man who believes in truth, no matter how painful. And when he got those results, he knew he couldn't just sweep them under the rug." The fallout was immediate. According to Candace, Charlie confronted Erica, and the conversation was emotional, raw, and heartbreaking. For days, the couple barely spoke. Insiders say Charlie even considered stepping down from TPUSA, unable to focus on anything but the questions swirling in his mind. But the story doesn't end there. As the news of the DNA tests leaked, so did a series of text messages, allegedly between Charlie and a close friend. In the messages, Charlie confides his fears, his doubts, and his sense of betrayal. "I don't know what to believe anymore," he writes. "I feel like my whole life has been a lie." The texts are raw, unfiltered, and painfully human. For the first time, fans saw a side of Charlie Kirk that was vulnerable, uncertain, and deeply wounded. Meanwhile, Erica's response has been a study in contrast. While Charlie has retreated from the public eye, Erica has doubled down on her role as the face of TQSA. She's appeared at events, given interviews, and posted inspirational messages on social media. But to many observers, her calm demeanor feels almost too controlled. "It's like she's performing for the cameras," one former staffer said. "There's no real emotion, just the same polished smile, the same carefully chosen words." Candace Owens didn't hold back in her analysis. "There's something off about the way Erica is handling this," she said. "Most people, if they were facing these kinds of accusations, would be devastated. But Erica, she's as composed as ever. It makes you wonder what she knew and when she knew it." The internet, predictably, has been ruthless. Memes, reaction videos, and endless threads have dissected Erica's every move, searching for signs of guilt or innocence. But the real drama is playing out behind closed doors. According to sources close to the family, the DNA results have thrown the entire Kirk household into chaos. Friends have been asked to choose sides. Staffers at TQSA are reportedly on edge, unsure of what the future holds. And all the while, Candace Owens continues to stoke the flames, promising even more revelations in the days to come. What's striking about this story is how quickly it's moved from rumor to reality. In the world of celebrity gossip, most scandals fade after a few days. But this one has only grown, fueled by the credibility of Candace Owens and the high stakes for everyone involved. For Charlie Kirk, the fallout could be career-ending. For Erica, it's a test of her ability to control the narrative. And for the conservative movement, it's a reminder that even the most carefully constructed images can crumble in an instant. As the internet continues to buzz, one question hangs over everything. What happens next? Will Charlie and Erica go public with the truth, or will they try to keep the details hidden? Will TQSA survive the scandal, or will it fracture under the weight of suspicion? And most importantly, what will the DNA results mean for the Kirk children, who have been thrust into the spotlight through no fault of their own? But the story was about to take another turn. Because as Candace kept digging, she found herself facing not just public backlash, but legal threats from Erica herself. And that's when things got even more personal, and even more dramatic. It didn't take long for the backlash to begin. As soon as Candace Owens went public with her claims about Charlie Kirk's secret DNA tests, the internet split into two camps. Some people called her a hero for daring to ask the questions no one else would. Others accused her of crossing a line, of exploiting a family tragedy for clicks and clout. But Candace didn't flinch. She doubled down, insisting that the truth was too important to ignore, even if it meant making powerful enemies. What really set the internet on fire, though, was the revelation that Charlie had confided in Candace before he died. He told her, in no uncertain terms, that he planned to get a DNA test done on his children, just to be sure. And when the results came back, they were nothing like he had expected. The pain of that discovery, Candace said, was something Charlie never got to resolve. He never had the chance to sit down with Erica and talk about what he'd found. Instead, he took that secret with him to the grave. But Candace wasn't about to let the story end there. She started asking the hard questions, the ones she believes can no longer be ignored. Why did Charlie feel the need to get a DNA test in the first place? What did he see, or suspect, that made him question the foundation of his own family? And why, after all this time, is Erica so determined to keep the details hidden? The tension between Candace and Erica quickly escalated. According to Candace, Erica went so far as to write a letter directly to the judge, urging him to issue a restraining order to keep Candace from talking about the case. But Candace refused to be silenced. She took to social media, declaring that she would go to any lengths to expose how those closest to Charlie treated him in the final months of his life. "What I learned in the past week," she said, "was enough to bring down the system." And then she dropped the line that sent shockwaves through her community. Charlie was betrayed by everyone. The words hit hard. For months, people had speculated about what really happened to Charlie. But now, for the first time, it sounded like the betrayal might have come from inside his own home. The comments section exploded. People begged Candace to go public, to stop holding back, to release every receipt she had. One comment, which quickly racked up thousands of likes, summed up the mood. "If the truth is strong enough to burn everything, then let it burn. Let the truth come out, Candace." When Candace finally released the receipts she'd been hinting at, texts, emails, and private messages, the entire social media world seemed to freeze. The revelations put Erica and her supporters in a corner, and for the first time, the public started to see the cracks in the story. But what really made people pause was how unsurprised they were. Erica's behavior since Charlie's death had always raised eyebrows. Was she really mourning? Or was she following a script? The more people looked, the more they started to see a pattern. If Charlie was suspicious enough to order a DNA test, maybe he had good reason. Maybe the signs had been there all along. There were moments that, in hindsight, seemed to say it all. Like the time Erica praised Mikey McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, in a way that felt almost too intimate. "Mikey McCoy is awesome," she said, her voice full of emotion. The audience went silent. This was the same man who, just after the incident, was seen calmly walking away from the chaos, phone pressed to his ear, as if he knew what was coming. And then, there was the now infamous hug between Erica and J.D. Vance, just seconds after she'd said, "No one will ever replace my husband." The internet couldn't help but notice how quickly Erica seemed to move on, how easily she slipped into her new role. It all begged the question, if Erica could change so much after Charlie was gone, what was really happening behind closed doors while he was still alive? What could have been so serious that Charlie would go behind her back to get the truth? The story only got more tangled when the Tyler Robinson case came up. The defense wanted to keep cameras out of the courtroom, but Erica insisted that the public deserved to see everything. "There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered," she said in an interview. "There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras in there. Why not be transparent? There's nothing to hide." But Candace wasn't buying it. She pointed out that Erica's eagerness to accept the official story, to declare that everything was clear, didn't match the reality that so many people were seeing. "Why is someone at the center of the tragedy so willing to say everything is perfect when the whole community is pointing out the missing details?" Candace asked. "If you really want to respect the deceased, why discourage questioning? Why encourage a blackout? Why side with silence over clarity?" The more Candace pressed, the more the public started to agree. There was a growing sense that the story being told in the media didn't match what people were feeling in their gut. The official statements, the reassuring speeches, the carefully crafted image, none of it felt real anymore. And as Candace kept digging, she found even more reasons to be suspicious. One of the biggest red flags was how quickly Erica stepped into the CEO role at TPUSA. While most people would have taken time to grieve, Erica was on stage, giving interviews, and talking about the organization's new vision. Instead of focusing on the truth, she talked about the excitement of TPUSA getting attention. Yes, she called it Charlie's legacy, but to many, it felt like she was using his death as a launchpad for her own career. Candace didn't hold back. She said that what Charlie really wanted wasn't emotional interviews or memorial speeches. It was for the truth to come out. That he was betrayed, not just by outsiders, but by the people closest to him. And as soon as Candace said it, everything started to unravel. Suddenly, new details began to emerge from people who had never spoken out before. Former employees described a tense atmosphere in the office, with Charlie growing more wary and distrustful in the months before his death. Volunteers said he no longer trusted the people closest to him. And when Candace released private texts showing Charlie's emotional exhaustion, the picture became clear. Charlie's most trusted network may have betrayed him, not just emotionally, but in ways that undermined his security, his position, and his influence. The question now wasn't just whether Erica had betrayed Charlie, but who else was involved? Who benefited most from Charlie's departure? Why were so many people so silent? The story was no longer about a marriage or a DNA test. It was about power, influence, and the lengths people will go to protect their secrets. As the story grew, so did the backlash. TPUSA's leadership moved quickly to silence Candace, issuing legal threats and restraining orders. Social media was flooded with posts trying to discredit her, calling her unstable, and accusing her of having a personal vendetta. But the harder they pushed, the more plausible Charlie's suspicions seemed. If there was nothing to hide, why try so hard to silence the only person asking questions? The timeline was damning. Candace asks questions, the restraining order comes days later, then the threats of lawsuits, then the smear campaign. The story shifts from the truth about Charlie to, "Candace has a problem." But most viewers saw through it. If Charlie had trusted Erica completely, none of this would have happened. The fact that he felt compelled to secretly test his own children's DNA was proof enough that something was deeply wrong. And then came the final twist. Candace asked the question that everyone was thinking but no one dared to say, If the DNA test was the reason Charlie couldn't confront Erica, was that what they were really trying to hide? Was that the real reason they wanted to silence Candace? The question hit like a bomb. If Charlie was suspicious enough to secretly take the test, and if the results were really not what he expected, that could destroy everything, the marriage, the organization, the entire public image. The reaction was swift and brutal. Hughes's leadership went into full crisis mode, trying to control the narrative and keep the details from leaking any further. But the damage was done. The public had seen enough to know that something was being hidden, and they weren't going to stop asking questions. In the end, the story of Charlie Kirk's secret DNA test is about more than just paternity. It's about trust, betrayal, and the way power can corrupt even the most personal relationships. It's about the danger of putting image above truth, and the cost of silence in the face of suspicion. And as the dust settles, one thing is clear: the truth always finds a way out. No matter how hard people try to bury it, no matter how many legal threats or smear campaigns are launched, the truth has a way of coming to light. And when it does, it changes everything.